What if I told you that America has a beautiful system that feeds its citizens before they fully open their eyes? Or at least before they get their morning coffee to start their day. In reality, before many Americans get out of bed, the animals that give us our morning food are already deep in motion. The agricultural livestock economy in the US may just be powered by a two-legged, lightweight champion, the chicken. While other animals are useful livestock, chickens dominate the livestock industry in sheer size and undisputed importance. Across the country, several sources claim hens produce 97 billion eggs. And from all indications, that figure is going up. The number and production scale usually sound exaggerated until you see a fully operational large-scale chicken farm. It starts with unending rows of incubation halls stretching across acres, each filled with eggs so perfectly aligned you'd think it was wallpaper. Whether for their meat or eggs, the poultry business begins with eggs. Incubators provide the perfect environment for eggs to nurture the life in them till they become fully formed chicks. In Pennsylvania, some large hatcheries can cradle around 70,000 eggs in a single incubation hall. The environment mimics the natural, warm, humid, and safe space the mother hen creates for her eggs. This also includes the natural turning and rotation a mother hen does to ensure that the embryo does not become stuck to the shell. You know how a couple of centuries ago the gender of a child was only known at birth? Well, some decades ago, viable eggs could only be known after the incubation period was over. Now, just 10 days after incubation has begun, a scanner is used to detect viable eggs through light and temperature. This ensures that the facilities available are spent on viable and potential chicks. Viable eggs are then vaccinated, while rejects are discarded. In 21 days, the cycle from egg to chick is completed. Across the United States, more than 500 million and more, according to USDA data, chicks are born each year. Within hours of hatching, they're sorted by sex and strength. The healthy ones are packed into crates, transported to farms where they'll spend the next several weeks eating, growing, and preparing for harvest. The weak or deformed chicks, however, meet a different fate. It's one of the more controversial realities of industrial farming, necessary for efficiency but uncomfortable to watch. What follows is a tightly choreographed cycle of feeding, growth, and harvest. Every day, chicken farms consume about 100,000 tons of soybean meal, roughly 30 to 35% of America's total soybean production. That feed mixed with corn and bran fuels their astonishing growth. In just 2 months, a chicken can reach 4 pounds, ready for processing. But this efficiency comes with its own ethical, environmental, and even emotional questions. While you might feel warm and fuzzy inside watching these feathery clucking angels eat and enjoy their days away, the system is designed to produce food, not entertain. By the time they're fully grown, the birds are transferred to processing plants, which some describe as cavernous facilities where automation and precision take over. The chickens are put in a machine where they are hung upside down. Following, they are then dipped into boiling water with only their heads initially. This process ends the chicken's life, which is then followed by a full dip in hot water, followed by defeathering. At this point, humans step in to separate the laps, wings, and breasts. The process from lively 6-pound broilers to chicken bits happens within minutes. Kind of brutal, but truly the end point. For most people, this is the part of the story that's easiest to look away from, yet it's the machine and process that turns the bubbly and lively chicken into the raw material for chicken nuggets, beautiful, crispy, delicious dinners, drumsticks, chicken buckets, and several meals chicken gives. Similarly, the poultry farm for eggs is the reason behind sunny side-ups, omelets, and pastries, among the several things we use eggs for daily. As of 2022, an average American took 279 eggs. If you were wondering, this was more than 3/4 of the days in the year. In context, the average American ate more than 5 eggs a week. There's something paradoxical about it all. The entire system, from the careful rotation of eggs to the industrial hum of slaughter lines, exists to make something from the raw materials for meals, from simple breakfasts to tasty, crunchy sides on dishes. A carton of eggs, a tray of drumsticks, or a neatly packaged rotisserie chicken from a supermarket aisle is the end of a process so vast and mechanized it could rival any industrial operation in the country. Maybe the sophistication exists because we've discovered how integral poultry has become to our daily living and activities. As a matter of fact, it is only the technology behind poultry farming that may have gotten sophisticated now. For millennia, men have bred and grown both eggs and chickens for daily consumption. The difference today? What typically ran as home-owned farms or small-scale ventures has now grown into a billion-dollar enterprise driven by data, temperature controls, and genetic optimization. Now, before you say it's only the chicken industry that has to churn out large amounts of eggs and chicken daily, let's also look at the goat farm industry. After all, chickens aren't the only animals on Old MacDonald's farm feeding the country. Yes, it's significantly slower paced compared to the chicken industry. However, the pressures of demand for goat dairy alternatives to cow dairy push the production scale. While goats are typically classified as livestock, and rightly so, in the southern parts of the United States, goats have become part of an ecosystem that feeds the nation. As a result, goat farming is worth several hundreds of millions of dollars, with modern farmers also leveraging technology to help with their herds. Across the U.S., an estimated 2.65 million goats graze, breed, and produce milk or meat for a population that rarely pauses to think about them. Even though many people do not know these numbers, these 2.65 million soldiers have fed the economy for years and collectively generate hundreds of millions of dollars yearly. Can you believe it? In California, there are almost 100,000 goats living on farms. Living there for meat, primarily? Not really. Over 45% of the goats raised in California are raised for their milk and dairy products. Texas also hosts several thousand goats on farms. To be honest, it's not at all out of place to see several hundred goats herded over farmlands or just large expanses of land with fences. Just as the sun begins to rise, these four-hoofed, two-horned lovelies are already getting to work. If you have a more scenic route in certain parts of the country, you can even hear their soft bleats during your drive. With a gestation period of 5 months, over 1 million goats are born annually in the U.S. Within weeks, they're already grazing in fields, and within months, they're ready to begin producing milk. This time frame is perfectly suited to ensure that goat farms remain productive throughout the year. Texas has the biggest goat population in the country, about 1.1 million animals, making up over 40% of all goats raised in the U.S. Efficiency meets endurance at this point. Strong goat breeds can withstand the harsh, dry, and hot summers characteristic of the Texas terrain, making them a thriving livestock commodity in the state. But these goats thrive in spite of danger because where abundance exists, it's as though nature looks for a way to take something in return. Coyotes remain a persistent threat. Even with guard dogs and fences, thousands of goats are lost to predators every year. Nonetheless, the goat system still thrives in demand, both locally and internationally, with our stubborn goats expanding yearly. While Texas boasts of a vibrant goat population freely roaming in farms, California took necessity as the mother of invention to a different level. From tracking and tagging each goat to cleaning milking parlors and machines taking control of milk to cheese, goats in California live a life from cradle to grave where maximal output is obtained via the care of carefully orchestrated technology. Now, unlike goats raised for meat that can be exploited for their hardiness, dairy goats need the best care and extra nutrition to optimally produce milk. Over 97,000 goats can be found in California, with almost half of them fueling the rich goat milk and cheese alternative market. Fueling this market requires goats that are healthy, happy, and optimally producing milk. It's about noting how nature works and using innovation to maximize its input in ensuring optimal milk production. A dairy goat's day begins early. By dawn, the goats are already lining up in milking parlors made of long, curved stations where stainless steel machines hum softly. It's not even about the goats many times, it's about the milk they produce. Mechanization thrives in this industry. On big dairy farms, machines can milk about 90 goats at the same time, and each one gives roughly 10 pounds of milk a day. However, the average good dairy goat produces about 2 to 6 pounds. It's almost like a ritual. Milk, feed, rest the goats, and repeat till we're done getting optimal produce. Hygiene? After every milking session, the tubes, containers, and pumps are flushed and disinfected. Even the milk does not catch a break. Still warm and frothy, the milk to be sent to cheese factories is immediately cooled. Where farms thrive in Texas and California, Wisconsin thrives in dairy processing and base products. When the milk lands in Wisconsin, the transformation continues. To avoid the curdling of milk until factories are ready, multiple gigantic vats of milk are continually turned slowly. When ready, curds begin to form slowly until the curds are soft, creamy, and slightly tangy. After the curds are formed, they are then mechanically processed into rounds of cheese, not larger than an average saucer. During the process, they are salted and left to mature. Afterward, the cheese is then imprinted upon to indicate its batch. This imprint indicates the bacteria used for fermentation, the temperature of processing, and even the feed that was used to flavor the milk. For all its sophistication, however, goat farming for dairy products also faces its unique challenges. There is more labor to be done compared to cattle dairy farms, but the yields do not even come remotely close. Owing to an increase in lactose-intolerant consumers, there is a global increase in the demand for goat dairy products. However, as it stands, the profit gained is simply enough to keep the businesses running. In some ways, these industries mirror America itself. It has grown to become a daily grind that doesn't sleep. It's ambitious, efficient, restless, and shows up daily. It's not just an industry of producing daily food, it's one that caters to a need in almost every household, one meal or one plate, everywhere in the country, daily. Nonetheless, such mechanized production at large magnitudes also comes at a price. Environmental scientists warn of the strain on land and food crops. Animal welfare advocates raise questions about living conditions, and yet, for many in the industry, the choice isn't between compassion and profit, it's about survival. In a world where the global demand for meat and livestock products continues to rise, scaling down simply isn't an option. In fact, now with better education on proper nutrition and better global attempts at nutritional balance, scaling down production is almost a taboo. Rather, finding a way to balance large-scale farming and healthy ecosystems to meet urban needs is the answer. In today's age, people are beginning to not only rise up to better ecological approaches to food production, but also to healthier food products. From increased, smaller farms experimenting with the best free-range methods, and farmers markets that proudly advertise pasture-raised labels, to consumers willing to pay a little more for what feels a little more humane. It's not just a revolution, but a quiet shift. It's one that says America wants to eat healthy, but the bodies of its citizens, its soil and lands should not take a hit its children would have to pay dearly for. For now, we still see a mix of both worlds. Full-on mechanized farming is still favored, where large-scale production cannot be downplayed, but we see several small farms springing up across the nation with a fast-growing consumer base as well. The goats grazing freely under the Texas sun and the chickens hatching by the tens of thousands under humming fluorescent lights. Both are part of the same story of how America feeds itself and what it's willing to trade in the process. Still, many American farmers are adapting. They're blending efficiency with empathy, rotating pastures to prevent parasites, enriching feed to improve welfare, and investing in non-invasive milking technologies. The idea isn't to romanticize farming, but to humanize it again. Most consumers will never know the layers of care and logistics that brought it there. To them, it's just a topping on a salad or a creamy spread on a baguette. But for those who've seen the entire process, from the first bleat in a birthing pen to the final round of cheese wrapped and labeled, it's impossible not to see the beauty and burden intertwined. From over 200,000 chicken farms to the millions of goats born yearly, the U.S. works a system that wakes up before the average American does. From the goat cheese and milk on the shelves to the eggs used by the local pastry shop along the street, there's a growing system that has ensured that the demand for poultry and goat products is met, even with its increasing organic demand. More than just producing food, looking into the local farms and how the poultry and goat farms are working to produce organic products shows a resistance to just any form of processed food. It further explores how the American farm system is growing into a mechanized yet natural and eco-friendly network. But the story doesn't stop there. Across the country, a quiet tech revolution is reshaping barns and fields alike. Artificial intelligence, sensors, and automation are stepping in not to replace farmers, but to give them better tools. Smart incubators can now monitor humidity, temperature, and even chick vocalizations in real time. Companies like Cargill and Tyson are testing computer vision systems that analyze chicken movement to spot early signs of illness, reducing antibiotics, and improving welfare. In goat farming, RFID ear tags and GPS collars are helping track herds, optimizing grazing patterns to restore soil health instead of depleting it. This technology-first farming movement, often called precision livestock farming, is one of the fastest-growing segments in modern agriculture. The global market for it is expected to exceed $6 billion by 2030, driven largely by U.S. innovation. Every data point from feed consumption to milk output is logged and analyzed. The goal? Producing more with less waste, less water, and a smaller carbon footprint. Farmers are already seeing the results. According to USDA and FAO data, precision systems can boost feed efficiency by up to 15%, reduce water use by nearly 20%, and cut mortality rates among poultry and goats by improving early disease detection. Even small family farms are joining in, using smartphone-linked sensors to track air quality and animal comfort. Some startups now offer subscription models where AI analyzes farm data weekly, sending alerts when conditions deviate from ideal ranges. It's farming that listens, where algorithms and instinct work side by side to raise healthier, more sustainable herds. And speaking of carbon, both the poultry and dairy goat industries are under pressure to adapt to climate targets. Poultry accounts for about 6% of U.S. agricultural greenhouse gas emissions, significantly lower than beef, but still substantial. Several farms have begun integrating solar panels and biogas digesters that convert manure into clean energy, cutting methane emissions by up to 70%. California's dairy goat farms, for instance, are increasingly using this waste-to-energy approach, turning what was once a problem into a power source. At the consumer end, the ripple effect continues. In 2024, Americans consumed nearly 98 billion eggs, a new record according to USDA data. Meanwhile, sales of goat cheese and milk alternatives have grown more than 35% in the past 5 years, fueled by lactose intolerance awareness and a taste for artisanal, small-batch foods. That's the irony of modern food culture. While machines hum and sensors flash in high-tech barns, the public appetite leans nostalgic toward authenticity, craft, and farm-to-table simplicity. So the next time you crack an egg or spread goat cheese on toast, you're tasting centuries of tradition guided by satellites, algorithms, and science. The U.S. farm system is not just feeding people, it's experimenting, evolving, and quietly coding the future of food, one cluck and one bleat at a time.